currently have the largest number of concurrent viewers that we've had all night, which is 1. And we are super grateful for you, Eli. So the purpose of this stream is for me to talk about what's going to happen with Invictus in the coming year. I will have to go back and see if I can't change up the beginning of the stream easily. But in the coming year, our hope is to attend at least 4 conventions, as we did this past year. We went to Marmalade Dog in Kalamazoo, which was a smaller convention. My guess is, they maybe had 600 people in total. I don't know exactly. Yes, I am technically watching myself too, which is really fun. I get to see myself and hear myself, 2 of my favorite things in all the world. Let's see, it looks like I'm hitting the top of the audio meters. Let me turn down my gain a little bit and see if that gets better. How's the sound to you out there, Eli? I've got sound monitoring on, but hey, Tofago, how are you doing today? I'm taking the audio cable out because it does not appear to be working correctly. If the sound gets sort of strange or you hear any weird clipping or something, let me know. How is the microphone sounding to you, Eli? Is it sound crisp? Is it clear? Unfortunately, the headphones that I plugged in to try to listen to the audio were just not working very well at all. So I'm not able to tell how good it is. Sound is good on your end. That's great. All right. So Tefergo, I think that you're someone I know in real life, and we'll keep your identity a mystery for now, of course. But I think you're someone I know, and I'm glad to. Now I have a slight echo. Damn it. All right, let's see if we can't clean up that. I look forward to the idea that one of these days. All right, let's see if that's cleaned up the echo. That may have cleaned us up a little bit, and we'll find out. It'll take a minute of slow chat response to find out if that echo's gotten any better. Looks like we now have 3 people in the chat. I believe that is counting myself, which is good. Is that echo still there, Elijah? Or is that sounding better? Yay, echo is gone. Okay. Yeah, the new mic, I've got these wonderful headphones. I just love them to death, but they're primarily a Bluetooth headphone. And so you can make them use the auxiliary cable and plug it into the back of the microphone. But what's happening is the microphone is letting me hear, and then the audio cable's cutting out. And I suspect it's because these are really not meant for that purpose. They're really a noise canceling thing. So I'm going to have to get some different headphones, which my understanding is that the primary reason one would want headphones is the sound coming out of your speakers bleeding back into the microphone, and that gets kind of gnarly to listen to. And so once we get to the point where we're actually doing streaming demos, we'll want to, of course, fix that up. But for right now, since I'm not playing any sound, I think the echo should go away. We'll find out. But I want to welcome those that are here. Tofergo, did you learn about the stream based on Discord notification, or did you find us some other way? It's really interesting. There's actually quite a bit of delay between what I'm saying and what's happening. I have a laptop open with the stream running, and it is amusing to look over at it and to see a completely out of phase sound there. So that is amusing. Okay. So we're supposed to be getting Rob Ayaga. He said he was going to come give us a hard time. And see what happens, whether he does show up and give us a hard time or not. So in the coming year, convention wise, we are hoping to make it. Let's see here. My 5 head is shining a little bit brighter than I want it to. In the coming year, we are. I've got all the hookup today. I've got a background light, which I can change and get all mysterious like, which is kind of fun. See what happens here. That one makes me look way too old. Let's see. Stick with soft white. So in the coming year, we're hoping to, head to Marmalade Dog, which is in Kalamazoo here at Western Michigan. So that should be a good convention. It was nice to us last year. This year is exciting because Eli is running events and I'm running events. And so that is exciting. We'll see how that goes. After that, we're going to try to do WizardCon out in Battle Creek this year. They seem to be moving around. They're a convention really aimed more at the old school player. I'm hoping that the lethality that we find in Invictus will draw in some of those players. But they are decidedly not a soft and fluffy RPG con. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the goal of their convention is let's be old school. Let's have it so that player characters can die, and it's more of a dangerous convention. Well, while we are here, I'm going to try a couple more elements. Let's see if this works. It'll be interesting to see whether I get more of an echo here or not. I hope not. For some reason, OBS keeps wanting to stream my iPad's microphone. And so let's hope that I have successfully muted that. All right, so now I feel like we're back during COVID, and I'm teaching my students how to do physics using my tablet. So let's see. I think that's displaying okay. So we are hoping to do at least 4 conventions. This year, we're going to do Marmalade Dog. And that's in Kalamazoo. We're going to do WizardCon, and that's out in Battle Creek. I suspect Marmalade Dog is about 800 people, maybe at the max. Probably even less than that. I'm going to bring that estimate down. We're going to say 500. WizardCon, I suspect to be about 300. We're going to do Grand Con again, which is out in Grand Rapids. And that one worked really well for us last year. Got us a lot of really fun people to play. And I suspect Grand Con is about 1,000 people. Might be a few more, but about 1,000 people. Maybe a few more. And then we'll try Yukon again. We'll see what happens. Yukon this past year was mostly a board gaming convention from what we found. But, we still had some good attendance. No. Shit. There's something called Center Stage I should turn on, and that would make it probably a little bit better. Let's see. There was a show called Tool Time back in I think it was the 80s, and there was a neighbor by the name of Wilson, and he would talk to the person behind the fence, and you would never see his face. It was only like here and above, and so I think I'd probably get better streaming if people couldn't see my face. But and then we're going to try out Yukon. And Yukon last year, I think it had 900 registered, but I don't think we had 900 in attendance. So these are all smaller cons, and we'd like to check out some bigger cons and see how those go. But until we've got sort of a product that we can put into people's hands, that one's not as exciting. But we'll see what happens. I'm curious if people have other gaming conventions that they're aware of in their area that they'd like to share with us here. Let's see. I think I did figure out how to make the center stage work a little bit better to show my face. Let's see. But yeah, so this was our convention layout last year, and it worked well for us. We got quite a few people onto the Discord. A number of people joined us over on YouTube. The channel is growing quite well. We're at 126 subscribers now. Coming into November this year, we were somewhere around 50 subscribers. So we've gained about 70 in the past 6-7 weeks. That's not bad. That's about 10 subscribers a week. And these things don't tend to be that linear for very long. If you get enough people coming in quickly enough, it begins to grow. And something else I've come to realize about YouTube is, you might see someone's video once and say, I don't want to watch that. I don't know who they are. and you see their video second, third, fourth, fifth time, and then you're like, well, who is this person? I've seen their videos enough times. I'll check them out. So I'm hoping that kind of through exhaustion, we might attract some more viewers. That was my dating strategy in high school. If I just keep asking, someone will say yes. So, it's been a few years since then, but, who knows? We'll see what happens. It is a little strange, though, to be speaking so asymmetrically to people. I do rather enjoy conversations. And Eli the Lich and I have talked about getting him on here and us discussing the system and sort of seeing how that goes in the future. So we've got that to look forward to as well. Also, coming into the new year, we're hoping to do something which I think will be a lot of fun, which I haven't seen. You and Elijah met through exhaustion? I love it. You see each other a few times and you're finally like, all right, fine. What does this person have to say? And we'll sort of chat about that. That's great. That's great. Probably one of the most amazing things to me in the past decade is that gaming has changed. And it's changed in the sense that it's now, okay, hold on a minute. I'm streaming. Did you need something?
Yeah. Can I have some ramen?
Your kids are like, I don't give a shit what you're doing. I don't care that you're live on the internet. I don't care that you're talking to people. I want to talk to you now. Sure, there are two parents in the home. And sure, you said you're busy, but I want to talk to you now.
I'm not coming into frame.
Oh yeah, I'm viewing the stairs. People can see you right now.
Show up the Demogorgon.
Stop, please. Stop. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Please stop. Jasmine, please stop.
Show them the glory of the Demogorgon.
This is all right. All right. This back out, please. There's water and a laptop there, and you're terrifying the hell out of me. So this is how much gaming has gone mainstream, right? This is a Demogorgon plushie. Isn't that just wonderful? And it'll fit right on your head. Thank you so much.
Prove it.
Please.
Put it on your head. Put it on your head, please.
Okay. So yeah, if any of you out there were ever, please stop.
Okay. Can I surround them?
Yes. If any of you were thinking about having children, I hope that this has been our PSA on why you don't want children. You are loved, but not in this moment. So
I'm gonna eat your toes.
During COVID, everybody understood. They got it, right? I was teaching, and my kids would come into frame. Everyone's like, "Oh, they're so cute and adorable." Yeah, and it was like anything to not be doing physics. So it was a welcome distraction at that point. It's not as enjoyable now, but it is what it is. Hi, Barb. I'm streaming live on the internet. So apparently it just doesn't really matter what you're doing. This looks really fun for when we start streaming our games. I'll have to put a lock on my basement door so that it's harder for people to come down here. So we've got Daryl Everett. Sorry, I don't know how to say that last name.
Just try.
I had to look why I subbed. I joined because of Game Design Series. That's great. I'm glad to have you there. We're going to keep talking about game design here. I have enjoyed talking about game design. I enjoy reading. Thanks, Barb. I enjoy reading this wall behind me. You can't really see right now. Let me give it some more light. That is a calyx full of.
Can you say
excuse me?
Right off because it's for business.
I love you. I am on a stream online, and there are real people watching right now. Would you please stop? So this shelf is full of role-playing game books, many from when I was in high school and pretty much everything beyond. I'm a bit of a hoarder. And I've been looking at getting rid of some of the old World of Darkness stuff because while I love it, I'm probably not going to get back to that point of playing it. Yeah, it's amazing. You're totally right, Raba. In the face of cameras, children of this generation do not care. They are like, I'm there, I'm jumping in, I'm going to make noise, doesn't matter whatsoever. And I guess it's really because they've grown up with it, right? we were afraid that if we did something silly or foolish, it would be on the internet forever, right? And they just don't care in the same way. And maybe it's just a signal to noise issue. They just, they know there's so much out there that the likelihood of any particular thing they do that's embarrassing coming back to them is probably pretty low. I'm not certain what the deal is. So,
I've got that prefrontal cortex.
yeah, that's right. You have no prefrontal cortex. That's what it is. Daryl, did you just find us randomly on YouTube, or are you one of the people that we met at one of our conventions this past year? So yeah, in the past year, we did 16 public demos of Invictus, which was really exciting. We got to, show the game to a ton of new people, explain the mechanics to them, and then go. And some of the things that were really exciting was that people would say to us, wow, this seems very intuitive. And I was always really nervous because when we sit down and yes, it is supposed to. Barbara, if you want to come sit in the camera view, you are welcome to come sit in the camera view. But if I wanted to get heckled, I would have Eli on camera. I can't believe anyone is still watching because parenting has to be entertaining. I guess maybe it'd be fun to watch and go, you know what? I made that right choice. I decided not to have any kids yet, and I'm happy with that decision. But where was I? Oh, you don't do cons. Okay. Oh, great. I'm glad to see that. If you ever do change your mind at cons and you know of one that we might attend, we'd love to have you for that. But coming up in January, what we're going to be doing is we're going to start releasing downloadable 2-hour modules. So we have a collection of 10 pre-made player character sheets that we've been taking to cons with us. And we've been passing them around to people and saying, here, try this out, see how it works. And they've had a lot of fun with it. And people have continued to say, like, wow, that was really intuitive. I understood what was going on. Now, I'm really spoiled in those moments because Eli's been at all the public demos with me. So you really have 2 game masters kind of making the game work. And that's been great. We've had a lot of fun doing that. But we're going to try to replicate that at least a little bit. In the downloadable playtest materials that you're going to be able to try out starting in January, we're going to also stream those online. So we're going to just do a number of different little scenarios. One of them, our first one is going to be called the Goblin Ambush. And this is something kind of out of Lost Mines of Phandelver or something like that. You're on a road, you're taking a caravan, you give the players a little bit of agency of, okay, who would be sitting where, what weapons would you have out, what would your, standard practice be on this caravan, and then there's going to be an attack, right? So it's going to, the description is going to match the label on the box. And what this is going to do is show people very quickly how combat works, which is, I think, one of the most exciting parts of this game is the combat system flows. And when you're playing it, you're not sitting there waiting to see what's going on. We don't have people checked out on their phones going, oh, it's my turn. With our reaction system, you can always be doing things. And that is really just a fun part of the game. What happens is, other than your main attacks or your big abilities, almost everything else is a reaction. So movement is a reaction. Picking up objects is a reaction. Kicking objects is a reaction. So in one of our cons, what happened was a player joined late. He had played with us twice already. He had gone to another event, and that event got canceled. And so he came by and was just kind of watching to see how the game was going. And we were like, hey, what's going on, man? And he was like, oh, my other game got canceled. I'm like, do you want to join in? And he was just like a kid in a candy shop. He was like, absolutely, let's go. So he joined in, and we gave him a ranger, and the ranger has a unique ability that they can do attacks off turn. They're the only class right now that can do any kind of off turn attack, basically as a reaction without anything provoking it. They can just do it. So he comes in and he realizes, hey, on my character sheet, I have a disarming shot, right? So this is kind of cheesy Hollywood kind of stuff, but you shoot with your bow, and instead of hitting your target, you're hitting their weapon hand or something like that to get them to drop their weapon. So we had this battle. Let me see if I can sketch this out here. We had this battle, and it was just fantastic. So these are towers that basically people are standing around. So we've got these big towers, and we'll use red for our bad guys. So we've got these guys that are just much stronger than the player characters. They're pretty nasty. They're coming up on them. And we've got 2 player characters, and that's right, there was a third bad guy. So these two-handed weapon-wielding characters were encroaching on the player characters. And the player characters were getting beat up badly. So we let Rob jump in, and we're like, hey, hop in. So he comes in, he basically slides down the wall of this arena that they were in. And as he's sliding down, he makes a shot with his bow, disarming this character right here. And it was amazing. The entire game changed in that one action. He shoots the weapon lands on the ground. Another character is like, can I use one of my action points to kick it? We're like, sure. So they kick the weapon, it goes sliding off behind them. And suddenly, instead of it being this 3-on-2 where they're getting beat up, they've got 2 nasty guys and 1 guy without his main weapon. And this just made everything work well. Next up was the warrior standing here, and he ends up punching this guy and then attacking this guy to kind of keep both of them distracted. And it just works so well, all because of the reaction of that one person right there. And so, unless it's one of your kind of main attacks, you can do it as a reaction. And that's just been a really great thing in this system. And people have had a lot of fun doing that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put out these demos that you can download and play. And our goal is that they'll take about 2 hours. That, I think, is enough. If you're sitting down with your friends, you're like, hey, let's try a new game system. For the first, half an hour, 40 minutes, you're all chatting, talking about your week, what the heck's going on. Then you pass out the character sheets. You've got those people wondering, am I going to look at this? Do I care about this? Do I wish I'd canceled tonight? All those things. And as they're kind of looking at the character sheet, they begin asking you questions. Excuse me. And then you answer them. You say, okay, let's just try it out. And then when you play, it's about 2 hours. So that's about a 4-hour game session right there. So in that, kind of 4-hour game session, you get to teach people this brand new game. And at worst, you lose 1 night. So that's really our goal. You don't have to learn some brand new game system. You got my buddy? Thanks. You don't have to learn some brand new game system. You don't have to, So, Barb, you just about knocked my water over. Thank you very much. This is my new buddy that I got for Christmas. And I am super, super excited about him. This was hand-stitched by a friend of ours. I will make sure to add in the show notes contact if you have any interest in purchasing one of these guys yourself. He's got, 8 tentacles, and each one is individually stitched. It is just awesome. And we love it. It's really neat. And he's got quite a weight to him. So I figured he'd become a good streaming element for me. I haven't had any chats in a while, so I hope everyone's still there. And this hasn't stopped. I've still got a live microphone and recording light on my side of things. So hopefully things are doing well. But so in the new year, we're going to do the 4 conventions. We're also going to do these downloadable game demos. So you can, take a look at that yourself. So we've got the game conventions. We've got the demos. And here's what's going to be really exciting about the demos. Oh, it looks like my chat was just for some reason not synced up. All right, let's look here. Okay. Yes, thank you, Rabba. You're correct. I said tentacles, and I thought to myself, these are arms, and I hope that Barbara doesn't yell at me about the fact that they're arms and not tentacles. And Barbara decided not to. And I think it's because Barbara just about knocked a glass of water over onto my computer and was feeling a little bit squeamish about that. But I do appreciate the biologist letting me know. Glad the biologist let us know that these, in fact, are not tentacles. They are, in fact, arms. And I was raised the wrong way. I was raised the wrong way. But that's okay. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Hold on. We've got a definition coming. Tentacles do not have suckers along the entire length. Okay. Is there a difference in mobility control there, Raba, as well? So, yeah. So what's an example? Let's do this. This will help me with this. What's an example of something that has tentacles but not arms? Like, give me something that, so I can remember that in my head. Is it cuttlefish or something? Do they have tentacles but not arms? Is that what the distinction is? And is this a distinction without a difference? I don't know. But yes, I do really enjoy this 8-armed octopus. And he's got quite a bit of weight. He sits on the shoulder, nice. And he really sits there. Like, I'm kind of jostling back and forth, and he is not coming off. And he's got these black as black eyeballs that I feel like they're staring into me. And I'm like, ooh. So yeah, it's kind of creepy, and I love it. But I'll come back and I'll talk. Oh, come on now. We're going to do the demos, but here's what we're going to do. This is a downloadable demo that you'll be able to play in the comfort of your own home with your friends. But in addition, we're going to do a live, or what do we call it? An actual play. We're going to do an actual play of the demos. And so what I really like about this is you're the GM. You open up, a new book or a new demo, and you're looking at it, and it's just so flat, right? It's just so dry. You have to make sense of the whole thing. And so instead, just load up our demo, which we're going to try to trim to be about 2 hours long, so that you can see that. And then, I can't understand you, Barb. I'm sorry. And so we're going to try to trim those to be about 2 hours long. And then you can watch it. If you put it at 1.5 speed, it'll be even quicker than that. Hold on. My child is using sign language, I think, so as not to disrupt me. One more time. I'm going to need words. I'm sorry, my brain is not processing. LOWC. You're going to have to say the words. Rob, I know you've got a little one at home. Are they at this age where they're coming in and interrupting when you're online? Probably, right? I think so. Oh, Eli, thanks so much for that link. I really appreciate that. One more time. You're 45. Congratulations. Okay, let's see. Tentacles have suckers at the end, but not along the whole thing. Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Okay. So, yeah, squids, I think you're right. Squids have like 10 arms or something. Or they have 2 tentacles, 8 arms, maybe. Listen, I'm talking to these folks, and I do love you to death. And if you want to come sit on the stream, we can. But it's hard for me to shift my focus in 2 different directions. So let me try to finish what I'm saying. We're going to give you the demo to play, but we're going to show you how to play it. So you can watch the whole thing at home, at 1.5 speed if you want, and sort of see what it's going to look like. And I haven't really seen that kind of thing before. A couple companies have tried to do an actual play of their downloadable modules, but you got to spend 45 minutes or an hour of character, creation, or watching the people, introduce themselves and get on scene. And you're just like, come on, just show me the game. Where do I actually see how this game works? And so we're going to try to provide that to you as well. So we're going to do game conventions. We're going to do the demos. We're going to do the actual plays of the demos. And then hopefully we're going to have a quick start rules. So the game is done. And what I mean by that, the game is done. The game is not written. The game, however, works. Okay. Release of the actual game is a great question. We'll get to that in a minute. So what we have right now is character creation. That's about 80% done. You can sit down, make your character. You can select your class. We've got to do a little bit more work into like what starting abilities are. What if any of you have seen Tales from Elsewhere? Peter is the name of the creator over there. I don't know him at all, but he actually had some of the best advice that got me unstuck in this game. And that was, he said, quit writing character creation rules, just make characters. And I realized that that was just fantastic advice, because instead of me sitting down and trying to write careful rules that someone could look at each and every single time, I was like, let me just make the character that I want people to be able to run. Yes, Daryl, I agree. Peter is awesome. He actually started his channel, I think, about the same time mine did last year. But he was much more consistent, and his production values are so high, he has really taken off. And the last I checked, I think he's got like 7,500 subs right now. It's fantastic. And he's a real asset to the community. I really like that guy. I hope to run into him one day. So what we did is we just made characters. And we made characters that we thought would be a little bit more powerful than starting characters. And we took them off to conventions and we let people play them in this kind of crazy over-the-top combat scenario. And it worked really, really well. So what we've been struggling with now is, how do I take that character and sort of imagine them getting younger, right? Becoming less experienced. We don't have a leveled game, right? So if you're new to Invictus here and you're just watching, the way our game works is it's much more like a skill-based game, although you have character classes. There are no levels. So everything you purchase is a la carte. It's however you want to do it along the way. And so the question is, when we have this character that works really well, what can we take away from the character that one would gain with experience points and actually be able to make it work? And we're just about at that point. We're going to have a draft of those rules this coming Saturday, in part because we've got character creation happening this coming Saturday. Eli is running a game using the Invictus rules, but in his own setting. So it's really exciting. You know, the game isn't really fully out yet, and someone is already using these rules to run a game, and it's amazing. So when I say the game is done, what do I mean? I mean, the core mechanics of the game are done, right? We know we've got what attributes we have. We know what skills we have. We know what our dice mechanics are. We know how to do all kinds of different skill checks. So far as we've been playing it, we haven't gotten to a point where we have kind of blue screen of death where we're like, oh no, what happens now? So the core game loop works. What we haven't done is like experience and how characters get stronger over time. That's a complete, I don't know. And that's the sort of thing that we'll probably start addressing in the new year. In terms of having a playable set of rules, my goal for that is springtime. I'm hoping by I'm hoping that by the time we go to Marmalade Dog, we have some kind of booklet that we can say, here, give me $10 and you can have it and go home and play this yourself. Let me clarify something, Daryl. We actually do have classes, but we don't have levels. And we have skills, and all your skills advance separately. Let me see if I can find if I can actually put up a copy of our character sheet. I am fairly new to OBS. I've had some luck with this system. Let me see if I can actually bring those up. Let's see here. My kids have been just amazing over break. Super helpful. Really cooperative with each other, really a lot of fun. And of course, the moment I'm like, hey, I'm going to be streaming tonight, they're like, oh, okay, let me just drive you crazy. So they have, but you know what? I will take a successful and happy Christmas over anything else. That was really what it's all about. Okay. All right. So I think that's displaying. Let's see if I can change some aspect ratios here. Give me just a moment to make that work better. I've seen some people do stuff using OBS and they're so fast about it. There are keyboard shortcuts that they use, and I just don't know what these are yet. But I will sort those out. I don't know, Raba. You know, it's a really good question. The YouTube reply I haven't played with too much. So I think this is now showing the character sheet. So, Daryl, you were asking about the skills and whether they level up, etc. And the answer is yes. Your skills have a rating anywhere from what we call -1 power, meaning you literally know nothing about this, and if you were to try it, you would do poorly. The next step is a level 0, and that means you add nothing to your dice pool, but you know how to do it. The next step is a D4, followed by a D6, followed by a D8, followed by a D10. Okay? And so that is the way that, and then you can get all the way to a D12, although I'm not sure that players in any kind of a short form campaign would ever get up to a D12. But so we have a class, and what the class does is instead of the class making your skills or your attributes work, the class gives you access to abilities. And in some sense, this is because, let's say you were to make a game and you were to put 10 ability trees in it. If anyone can pick from any ability tree, you have to consider all of those combinations. And that just is a mess. It works, and a lot of games do it. But from my design space, from my head space, that just doesn't work. So in our setting, you know, you start off as a warrior, or you start off as a rogue, or you start off as an emissary, our version of the priest. And your skills and your attributes are whatever you want. What's the character in your mind? Pick that character and make that work for you. But then, as a priest, you gain access to healing magic. You gain access, and it's not just healing magic, it's miraculous healing magic. You gain access to what do I call them? They're not retribution abilities. Talionis, yeah, basically retribution abilities. You gain access, you know, to punish people for the light, those that have transgressed against you. And you gain protection magic. And if you just strap those onto the rogue, that, in my mind, feels weird. And again, there's a lot of games out there. GURPS is infamous for this. You can build anything you want in GURPS. And I think that's wonderful. It doesn't fit the niche that I'm looking for. You know, my goal was looking for a game that long story short, I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons without all the cheese and bullshit. And that was really my goal. So I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons without all the cheese and nonsense. And I wanted deeper stories, things that I got introduced to in things like World of Darkness. You know, Vampire and Mage and Wraith were these hugely influential games to me. And I wanted to play those truly in a Dark Ages type setting, but with fantastical elements. I wanted there to be dragons. I wanted there to be goblins and orcs and all those other things, and see how that works. Hello, welcome to this stream, Jacqueline. So, yeah, so Daryl, actually, I do allow for you to learn abilities outside of your stuff, but that starts to get a little bit noodly. I do have a design video up on this. I think it's the 4th or 5th, which I talk about character classes. And so my abilities, my special abilities are called domain abilities. Daggerheart has now come out and called theirs domain abilities. And so I've considered changing it because MCDM's Draw Steel also uses domain abilities. This is the downside of being really slow at doing this, is all these cool ideas get kind of grabbed and claimed while you're along the way. But in my setting, at least for now, they're called domain abilities. And so there are domain abilities that are warrior only, and there are domain abilities that are rogue only. And then there are some that many different classes have access to. And so if you learn one that's an overlap with the rogue and you learn it well, you can then begin learning rogue type abilities. So what it really is you're stretching yourself out horizontally into other classes and gaining the ability to grow in those abilities from those classes. But yeah, so this is what, our character sheets look like. We don't have a good software yet for making these on your own. We'll get there eventually. There's so many things that are in flux. I learned a while ago that investing time into making everything beautiful early is really kind of a waste of time. It's good for learning those skills. It's really good for getting better. Yes, Rob, that's my substitute for multi-classing. That is, you learn those abilities. What are you doing? It's I'm going to go off topic here for a minute. We have a PlayStation and we have a Nintendo Switch. Generally speaking, I'm not a huge console gamer. I love games. I love playing them, but I'm not a big console gamer. Although I like to think that I am, because at one point in my life, I was a console gamer. And so I bought myself a couple of games. And my house can be as quiet as can be. There can be not a soul in sight. And the moment I sit down and I turn on the PS5 and I put in a game is the moment my kids appear. And they're like, oh, what are you doing? Let's go. And as it turns out, almost all the games for PS5s are single player games. So, you're like, okay, you can play now. Same thing happened with Skyrim. I never played Skyrim. I heard so many amazing things about it. And I got it for the Switch, and I sat down to play it, and I probably played it for 90 minutes. Every time I'm trying to play that game, my kids appear out of nowhere. And now, interestingly enough, the same thing is happening with the stream. Throughout most of the day, it didn't really matter that I was in the house and everyone's here to see me, which I love them to death. But it shouldn't have surprised me. I guess that's what I'm getting at. I do appreciate the comments about how well organized the sheet looks. Let me see if I can show you guys some more of these. Okay, let's see. All right. Let's see. So this right now is on our Discord, if anyone would like to download it for themselves. This is kind of our character packet you can hop on and take a look at. If I can resize. There's got to be a faster way than dragging this thing over and over. I wish Paul was here. Paul was in our last stream, and he was like, oh, hit this button, hit that button. I was like, oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Dark Souls and Skyrim. Actually, I have Dark Souls for the PS5. That's the one I bought for myself last Christmas, and I've played it about 30 minutes. And it's largely just because, I'm a father of 3. I've got a full-time job. I've got, a lot of pets. And anytime I sit down to do something like that, things pop up in the background. And it's hard to get into. And Dark Souls is beautiful. God, that game is so gorgeous. And they're so mean to you. You start out, you kill everything immediately. And you're like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. It's not bad. I can move out of the way. And then they kill you. And then everything kills you. They let you kill a couple of bad guys as if nothing's going on. And then everything slaughters you. It's absolutely hilarious. All right, so let's look at some more of our character sheets. So this is actually a common sheet, kind of our combat table. And this is something we hand to people at conventions, and we say, here you go, give it a shot, see how it works, and this has worked really well. One of the things I really love in our system is this thing called Surge. And that is when you roll a die, anytime you get a 6 or higher, so we use D4s up to D12s. And so if you get a 6 on a D12, that's a 6 or higher. If you get a 10 on a D12, that's a 6 or higher, right? So anytime you get 6 or higher, you gain a point of Surge. And what Surge is narrative currency. Eli's like, Invictus is like Dark Souls. No. I mean, All right, a little bit. At our event that we do at the conventions, we really teach people how lethal the system is. They spend the first hour or so realizing, oh my God, if I don't work with my peers, everybody's going to die. And then that escape the maw. Well, the maw is the big monster that attacks you at the end. And what happens is if you stand to fight that thing, it's going to kill you. But nobody stands to fight it. Everybody knows if these creatures were deadly, that thing is off the charts. And everyone immediately goes, how do we work together to make sure we get away from this thing? So there is some good comparison there. Okay, so how does Surge work? If you get a 6 or higher, you get a meta currency. That's what we call Surge. And so this meta currency can be spent on all of these different options that you see here on the screen. You can do any of these different things. And so, for example, you can pommel strike someone. So you're fighting and you bring the pommel of your sword around and you crack them in the skull. What does that do? Well, it gives them a point of exposure. What does exposure do? It makes it easier for the person to get hit. So combat isn't, I'm standing here and I go, I swing. Now you go, I swing. And we keep doing that till one of our hit point totals is reduced to 0. No, on your turn, you have these points and you get to determine how to spend them to do your most offensive attack without opening yourself up. And then you get this meta currency that you get to also use to reduce your opponent's abilities. But that's really getting a little deep into this. I don't want to dive super far into this other than to say this is the stuff that's working really well. And when I say the game is done, what I mean is this stuff is done. There is a tremendous amount of content that does not yet exist for this game. We do not yet know how experience points are going to work. I've got some ideas, right? I mean, I played a lot of games that had experience points in them, that didn't have levels, that you bought things separately and individually as you built up. And that's what we're going to do. The question just becomes, what's the rate? How quickly do I want to get this strong? The nice part about it, though, is that in Invictus, you stay fundamentally mortal. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter how strong you get. You never get any more meat, and you take more hit points. Jackie Bean, oh my God. So if you're in chat right now and you're looking here, Jackie Bean just noted, if you put the maw to sleep, that's another way to deal with it as well. So we had this totally bizarre incident at UConn. Jackie and her partner were there along with Eli, and they did and we had one other person there that was playing with us as well. So it was a four-person event. And the maw we have now run, I think, 16 times, somewhere near that. And this is a 4-hour long event. At Grand Con, we kept going over 4 hours, and like the night staff was getting a little bit frustrated. They're like, your game needs to be done. It's time for you to go. And so this is a solid 4-hour long event. And in 2 hours and 15 minutes, Eli, Jackie's partner, and this other fellow that was there finished them all. They did a speed run. They just got it. They're like, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this. And they just wiped everything out. They put the big bad monster to sleep and they ran away. And it was awesome. And part of that was just they were so coordinated. But another part of it too was that because they got it, they were fast. They were team decisive. They're like, go, 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 get it done. And it was just amazing. And I'd had a lot of doubts at this point of how fast can this game really run? How well can this really work? And they showed me. If everyone's decisive and everyone takes their turn as soon as it comes, you can go from 4 hours down to 2 hours and 15 minutes. And it's awesome because I have an audio recording of it, and they just kicked its butt. Let's see, we've got some other questions in chat here. How many surge can a character have or use in a turn? Right now, this is actually a little bit of an open question, Raba. We had not been allowing you to bank up surge That is, you'd have to use it as soon as you got it. But we've had some changes of hearts lately. Like, it's meant to be narrative sense, you know. So, like, for example, you know, you're watching this great fight scene in a movie, and someone stabs them or goes to stab somebody, and they dodge out of the way, and they punch them when they dodge, you know, something like that. That never happens in games, right? You never punch someone in a game because there's always something better for you to do. But Surge really allows us to add in all of these extra little actions that wouldn't normally occur in these other games. So you get to do that stuff there. So it's meant to be a narrative currency that you use in the action that you're doing something now. And defenders can also gain the same currency. So we don't currently have a plan to bank it. But there have been a number of times where people have gone, there's just nothing I would want to use my Surge on. And it's rare, but it does happen, and it doesn't feel very good when it happens. So we have thought about this idea of being able to bank up Surge and use it for later. One of the things that we did in one of our more recent events, which we really liked, was you attack someone and your attack is strong enough that you kill them, but you have Surge. So you don't want to like punch them with your sword or hit them with your shield because they're already been punched, right? They're already dead. Sorry, I've got a kid in the background again here. And now I have a cat. So I have an octopus, I have a cat, and I have a child. And hey, we're keeping it going. But we decided like you can use that narrative currency versus the next person. So it's like you stab this guy and you kill him, and now you swing your shield over and you bash the guy next to you. So it's another way to, kind of extend those uses and, see what can happen next. All right. Let me check back up with chat. Robert, there's actually no limit to answer your question more in full. There's no limit to how much Surge you can score in your turn because it comes as a result of rolling dice. And there's probably, yes, dice are good. There's probably a limit to how many you could roll because of just how many action points you've had, but we've never had cause to try to calculate that. Each action you take costs anywhere from 1 to 5 action points. So you can only gain as much Surge as we're allowed with those different rolls. Yes. Barbara brought me the cat to show you, and Barbara has now brought me a giant 20-sided die to show you. Thank you, Barb. We're not going to do this right now. So let's see, catching up with chat a little bit. Yes, Jackie, thank you very much. Because a lot of people suffered through early versions of this game, the game has become very intuitive and very clearly laid out. And I'm really grateful for all those that got headaches to save the future people from getting headaches. Okay. Use critical roll to determine the rate. Once 3 critical rolls have occurred and marked on the sheet, the skill levels up. I really like that, Daryl. I like this notion of you've done really well. We thought something similar, like anytime you take an action that has a difficulty of 18 or higher, if you succeed critically on it, that would give you a chance to gain experience points. But I'm also a huge fan of learning through failure. And so I like the notion of I've learned something based on the fact that I failed badly. So I don't really know the right road forward. Yes, the fourth child, as Jackie said, really was a child. So, yes, they are. So yeah, Raba, it is a blending. Raba said you list things as narrative things that can be done. But some cost more than just a Surge point. And that's exactly right. It is a fusion of narrative ability and action ability. So there is sort of a back and forth there. So we don't actually have minor actions in particular. You just have 5 action points, and you choose how you're going to spend those 5 action points. So some things are 1 action point, so you can do it over and over and over. And other things can be done, only once because that's all the action points that you have. Let's see. Daryl says, I like failure too by critical rolls. Oh, I see. Critical success and critical failure. That is an interesting way to do it. Yeah, I do like that idea. All of those things make me wonder sometimes. Do make me wonder sometimes about player cheese and whether someone's going to try to spam rules. So that's, I'd love these ideas, but at the same time, I got to get that out of my head and just trust the players at the table a little bit more. So I'll get there. Yeah, you're right, Robin, that a lot of those surge actions are minor. They're not all. There are other surge actions. That's just the common list of surge actions. Different character classes have other surge actions. So there are other things that you can do as a function of surge. And as you get more and more experience points invested in your domains, you can even make attacks based on surge. So you're right that they are more minor type actions, but they don't have to stay that way. They can become more powerful as time goes on. But you're right that many of them are minor type actions. And I just didn't want to limit and say, well, each person always has 3 minor actions, etc. I wanted to say it comes about as a result of your dice rolls. And what's really nice is you can roll a 6 on one die and 1s on everything else. And, that's normally a failure. Nothing has happened. However, with that surge, you can still make some contribution to what has occurred. So there are very few what I call null states where when you take an action, nothing happens. There are still a few left in the game, but we're trying to get rid of all of them. So the game is always moving forward when if you took an action, the game state changed. There are almost no cases right now where I take an action and I failed, and so nothing happens. Just about everything changes the state of the game. And our goal is to make that even more true going forward. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I'm really excited to see people popping in. Daryl, do you have your own YouTube channel? Do you have something out there that we can take a look at? You want to post in the chat so we can see that? Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to go too much longer here into the night. What I really wanted to talk about is just really what's going on in our new year. And that is our gaming conventions are coming up. We've got 4 of them planned. We're going to do Marmalade Dog. We're going to do Wizard Con. We're going to do Grand Con. And we're going to try UCon again. If anyone else knows of another smaller con somewhere around Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, please let me know. Okay. So yeah, Daryl, I've got a Discord link in my channel, on the YouTube channel. Maybe Eli, can you find a link to our server? We kind of go from there. Appreciate that. Okay. Gotten some other feedback that the microphone is picking up every time I'm touching the table and hitting the table, which is kind of a bummer. I'm going to have to figure something out. This is actually, I'm going to pick this up here, a brand new microphone that I've gotten just yesterday. It's called the Blue Yeti. I was pretty excited to get it. But yeah, maybe it's not the right microphone for this setup here if it's going to make all that noise. So thanks, Rabba, for giving me that feedback there. All right. So we picked up a couple more people. So again, yeah, we've got our gaming conventions coming into the new year. We're going to be releasing demos that you can download and play. Hexman Actual. I think maybe we've spoken before. I think I'm Malfarian on Discord. I think we've spoken before. So, hey, Jeremy, how are you? Yeah, calling me Dr. Dave. So, to those that don't know, I am a professor of physics at Kalamazoo College, and the majority of my students call me Dr. Dave. And that's generally what I go by, and I like to keep it a little bit more informal. So, yeah, so I don't know. honestly, if this is a suspendable thing, it might be able to come apart. It's rather phallic from my mind, but that's just me, maybe. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. See what I can do with that. I do appreciate it. Yeah, so Daryl, yeah, we have spoken before, so I'm glad to. We've talked a little bit, so I'm glad to take a look at that. So yeah, in the next year we've got our demos coming up and our actual plays to help that. We hope to have quick start rules coming out as well. We're going to be doing those 4 gaming conventions, and again, if anyone has an idea for a convention that we might attend, we'd love to hear about it. So I don't want to keep people hanging on too long. I'm happy to keep going, but at the same time, a lot of the people here are friends of mine, and I think are showing solidarity. And well, I'm grateful for that. I don't want to keep people on the line too long. So why don't we go ahead and wrap it up and leave it with the idea that there's always room for more in the future. Thanks a lot. Goodbye for now.